Look at this equation on the screen. For decades, we have accepted a very specific, logical formula for financial success. Combine high intelligence with an elite education, secure a massive income, and extreme wealth will naturally follow. Richard Fiscone was the perfect embodiment of this model. He was a Harvard-educated investment banker who reached the absolute peak of the financial industry, eventually retiring early to a massive mansion with 2 swimming pools. Compare him to a man named Ronald Read. Read was a blue-collar janitor. He wore old flannel shirts held together with safety pins, never worked in finance, and never earned a high salary. This bar chart shows what happens when that formula fails. During the 2008 crisis, the executive lost everything to bankruptcy, leaving his net worth at 0. But when the janitor died, he left behind an $8 million portfolio built on decades of quiet investing. This single anomaly reflects a massive structural reality. Right now, nearly 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That statistic includes a massive number of professionals earning well over 6 figures a year. If highly educated executives are going broke and entirely uncredentialed janitors are dying as multimillionaires, wealth accumulation cannot be a hard science. Rather, it is an invisible behavioral operation. To survive in finance, you must first account for a variable you cannot control, the mathematical probability of pure chance. Bill Gates is brilliant, but his success relies on a staggering data point. In 1968, he happened to attend one of the only high schools on the planet that owned a computer. That specific timing and environment gave him a statistical head start over millions of other people. We can prove that chance swings both ways by looking at his high school friend, Kent Evans. Evans had the exact same intellect, the exact same environment, and the exact same dreams as Gates, but he died young in a tragic accident. Risk and luck are identical siblings born from the same probability curve. Overestimating your ability to control those forces always ends in ruin. Jesse Livermore was one of the most successful traders in history, making millions betting against the 1929 stock market crash. He assumed he had mastered the system, kept making aggressive bets in the years that followed, and eventually died completely bankrupt. You cannot eliminate risk. You can only acknowledge your own vulnerability and build a financial system with enough humility to survive the inevitable anomalies. There is a fundamental disconnect in how we approach capital. Getting rich and staying rich are entirely separate games, and they require completely opposite skill sets. The mechanics of the first game, acquisition, demand extreme risk tolerance. You have to take bold swings, operate with unyielding optimism, and put your chips on the table. Mike Tyson won the acquisition game flawlessly. He aggressively earned over $400 million during his boxing career. But because he kept playing by those exact same aggressive rules, he ended up $23 million in debt. He failed the second game, preservation. Staying rich requires the inverse of optimism. It requires paranoia, discipline, and a structural respect for downside protection. Look at Warren Buffett's 70-year investing timeline. He did not achieve extreme wealth by making flashy overnight bets. He built his fortune by mastering the mechanics of survival, avoiding catastrophic errors long enough for compounding interest to do the heavy lifting. In the mathematics of money, the ultimate winner is not the investor who maximizes short-term returns. It is the one who maximizes long-term survival. Society evaluates financial success using a deeply flawed metric. We judge wealth strictly by the capital we can see people spending. This creates what is known as the man in the car paradox. When someone drives past you in a Ferrari, you assume they are wealthy. In reality, the only empirical data you have is that they possess significantly less cash than they did before they bought the vehicle. This flowchart illustrates the actual math of accumulation. Income is the capital you earn. Visible spending is the capital you show to the world. True wealth is strictly the invisible capital that remains unspent. The danger here is the psychological trap of the moving goalpost. As high earners increase their income, they subconsciously increase their spending to match it, effectively keeping their actual hidden wealth at 0. Rajat Gupta reached the absolute pinnacle of corporate consulting and accumulated a net worth of over $100 million. But because he lacked a definition for enough, he committed insider trading to secure even more status. completely destroying his reputation and his freedom in the process. Visible status symbols do not prove financial success. They are empirical evidence of wealth depletion. If the purpose of accumulating capital is not to purchase visible status or to out-earn your peers, what is the actual mathematical utility of saving a dollar? The highest possible return on investment for a saved dollar is the fractional ownership of your own time. Creating a small, invisible delta between what you earn and what you spend generates a measurable unit of power. A simple 3 to 6 month emergency fund means a toxic boss no longer controls your actions, and a sudden corporate layoff no longer threatens your survival. Achieving this state of autonomy does not require millions of dollars in the bank. It only requires the behavioral discipline to stop chasing the moving goalposts defined by society. You do not win the money game by hoarding the most capital. You win by buying back the freedom to design a life entirely on your own terms.